Passive income 8 ways. Amass stacks of dosh with these tried and true wealth building hacks. You've probably heard the well-known saying, poor people work for money, rich people have money working for them. But how do you get there? Today we're diving into the essentials of stress-free passive income building. We look at how to start from nothing, how to sustain momentum, and what to avoid. Coming up today on Finance in 5. Happy New Year, friend, and welcome back to the show. Hope you had a glorious holiday season, and we're excited to share some helpful wealth building tips today. Despite what charlatans would have you believe, passive income requires you to actually do some work up front to reap benefits later. But this work doesn't have to be a nightmare. In fact, it's fun sometimes. Often you'll be rewarded for your efforts to the extent that people pay for whatever product or service you offer because it helps their life in some way. People care about their own needs and interests and concerns, so start with those and work backwards. How? Let's look at some of the ways. The list that follows is by no means exhaustive. 8 passive income sources. Number 1, create a subscription service. Now, we all know that the pandemic has accelerated online trends, whether that's Shopify, e-commerce, e-learning, Amazon, etc. Lots of brick and mortar retailers have moved online just to survive. This, and people spending more time at home, creates a lot of opportunity. Anything you want you can have delivered or you can subscribe to on a rolling basis, whether it's the weekly shop, a digital product or game, a gardening magazine, food supplements, monthly cake deliveries, flowers through the letterbox, vegan moisturizing lotions, custom shaving equipment, and more besides. So how can somebody go from knowing that this is the case to using that knowledge to create a consistent stream of passive income for themselves? Is a good question, and that's our goal here. The answer comes down to 2 keys. Number 1, find a need. Rather than relying on your own opinion, look at what does the data say about trends that are popular or about needs that could be fulfilled right now but aren't being. I'll be doing another video at some point soon about businesses to start in 2021, in which I will dive into these themes in more detail, but just to provide the heads up, some popular ideas for this year include male grooming and hobbies at home, which include arts and crafts, baking, and gardening. But if you're not interested in any of those things, maybe one helpful question to ask is, what services have been affected or interrupted by the pandemic? Quickly, you will find out that pretty much every single service that you can think of has been in some way. So the whole world is your oyster. That's the first key. And the second key is, which one of these in-demand services, which is under strain right now, is a huge need that you are really interested in meeting and actually care about? It could be anything at all, since people haven't been able to get out. It could be kids knitting or baking kits, growing tiny flowers in window boxes, brewing beer at home, female incontinence pads. The choice is yours. If it's some niche area or problem that you care deeply about solving, then you will invest yourself mentally and emotionally in doing the work needed to get that passive income stream off the ground, and you'll set up systems after you achieve your first few sales to automate it without your active involvement. Once the target need and target customer are identified, work backwards from the end goal of linking product to customer who uses the product. How? Well, perhaps you've noticed a growing consumer enthusiasm, for instance, for coffee consumption before COVID, and maybe you want to create your own coffee company. Believe it or not, that's probably easier now to do than it was before. Why? Well, overheads will be minimal, as you don't need a physical retail store or to sign a 10-year lease agreement paying over fortunes to a commercial landlord anymore, since very few people can so much as shop at a high street cafe or any kind of coffee retail location during lockdown anyway. Since people can't visit physical stores, you could step in here though and provide a virtual tasting experience of some kind by sending free samples of 1 or 2 blends ground for home use in a cafetiere with each purchase to customers. You could offer 10% off their next online purchase upon completion of a customer feedback form. You could start with just yourself by simply setting up a website for free on Squarespace, where they've got templates for food and drink businesses listing your products on there. Then you could set the site up to accept card payments. You could set up an email list, send confirmation emails with each purchase. You could offer regular money off coupons, money off incentives for rolling purchases. The key here is understanding that to earn serious cash, all you have to do is give people what they want at a fair price and do it faster, more cheaply, or more effectively than your competitors. Number 2, sell items online. Even without a pandemic, January is often a quiet month. People are looking to rein in their spending after splurging on Christmas presents for family members over the festive period. One way to rebalance is to sell some of your unwanted items. Some people exchange presents for cash, but there's no need to ruffle feathers of family members to make money from what's lying around the house. Are there articles of clothing or possessions such as camera equipment, watches, devices, electronics, toys, DVDs, comics or prints that you don't really use and that you could get rid of? If so, this may be the perfect time to part ways with items of the past in exchange for cash. Take some quality photographs and upload each item as a listing on eBay. You'll be surprised at what people are willing to pay for and how quickly you may be able to build up your new year financial war chest with a few savvy sales, especially if you're never going to use those things again and if getting rid of them will declutter your home, making it easier to stay organized or maybe even to move house later on. It's definitely worth half an hour of your time. Another thing that you can do is sell stock photographs online. It might not be of interest to you, but some of the images that I use for thumbnails come from the Adobe Stock website. You can actually become a contributor to this site by submitting photographs, video clips, or motion graphics templates to websites such as Adobe Stock, Vimeo, Shutterstock, and others. Every time somebody pays to download one of these assets, you receive a commission, so it's worth having for what might amount to a pretty minimal effort on your part if you happen to own a high quality camera and have some free time. Number 3, online classes. Online classes of all types are mainstream these days. Perhaps you used to be a gym coach and your place of employment has been forced to close. You could take those lemons and make sugar-free lemonade. How? Personalized fitness coaching over Zoom. That might not sound passive, but you could create some videos or popular downloadable workout tutorials or diet plans featuring bonus content which is available via a monthly subscription through Patreon. This sort of offering is likely to be especially popular at the start of January. Lots of people who've indulged in one doorstep-sized slice of chocolate Yule too many are now promising themselves that they'll lose weight in 2021, and there's money to be made in helping such weak-willed imbeciles sustain their delusions. Kidding, I myself am probably one such weak-willed individual. Teachable is a huge platform for content creators looking to share knowledge that they've gained from toiling over textbooks or through practical grind spent learning a particular skill or trade to viewers eager to learn these topics for themselves in as much detail as creators care to provide, from the comfort and safety of their living room. Classes on photography, accounting, magic tricks, figurine painting, using a drone, preaching a sermon, archery, and many more are all available. You might think to yourself, well, that's all very well, Adam, but I don't really have any skills that I can teach or classes that I can monetize. You might be incorrect to say that, because any hobby or skill that you're passionate about is something that you could create a course about. Let's imagine that you're at university or college or some kind of study program. Instead of working in the supermarket, you could create a course exploring how to apply successfully for your course, plus post-graduation career paths. Such courses would help others slightly younger than you in your industry, not just those considering applying. Few people can argue with a humble personal assessment of your own journey. You could offer your first class for free to build trust, or you could price it fairly and post the download address to your LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram account. It could prove to be a worthwhile half an hour. Similarly, whether you went to university or not, your career since your late teens might be a source of revenue if you could distill the essence of the most important skills that you've learned into some bite-sized videos which actually walk people step by step through how to go from where they are to achieving a specific result. The more specific that you can be about the result that the person will achieve at the end of the course, the more likely the potential customer will be to buy, download, watch, and use. For instance, if I decided to create a video series on how to make 12 amazing cocktails at home in 2021, then it should be pretty clear what the end goal of such a video series would be. Any course that's easy for the viewer to understand, is relatable, is fun or educational, or all of the above, if delivered enthusiastically with a sincere heart, cannot be considered to be a failure whether it succeeds financially or not at first. Why? Because if you pour your heart into something for the benefit of other people, you're always doing the right thing, regardless of the monetary result in the moment. Enthusiasm is infectious. And, of course, you need to actually be teaching someone something that they find useful in order to succeed. But I'm saying that until you try something like this, and even after you upload it, you're not going to know how well it's going to do. But rather than letting that put you off the attempt, the only way to find out is to do your research and then eventually dive in, hope for the best, and keep hustling until the results materialize. Number 4, write an Amazon ebook. Is there something that you're passionate about or that lockdown has renewed your interest in? Maybe an impressive skill such as cake decoration, flute playing, or watercolor painting has emerged from hibernation. Have you learned some tips that could help others begin these pursuits themselves, starting from scratch? Maybe you're a student experiencing disruptions to your learning. Your experiences could provide a roadmap for younger people to follow as they seek to navigate similar terrain. Maybe you're no longer at college but wish to mentor those who are. Perhaps you could help guide aspiring engineering students through their college application process. You might create a guidebook for those applying for your chosen course or to college in a post-COVID-19 world. There could be a section in there about how opportunities within your field or training or expertise have been affected and how individuals and teams have to become nimble in their response. Maybe your industry has had to change now to become COVID secure. Perhaps market forces are shifting. It was revealed recently that MBA students are starting to regret paying $100,000 for their courses, which have all transitioned online with no person-to-person contact or possibility of refunds. It must be weird studying business at a time when so many businesses are forced shut. But if you're one of these people, you could write a book about your experiences. It could be a bestseller. Using Amazon, they provide the tools necessary to upload, publish, and make money from your book and your ideas if all you do is just follow the relevant links. If you have a passion for something and can speak in sentences, then it should be straightforward for you to create something that people want to read. And that doesn't have to be something that you charge for, but it could just be a trust building or thought leadership exercise. Perhaps hardship has birthed adaptation within you or a problem solving ease which you're keen to share with those around you. Whatever the case, whether it's cooking, archery, playing an instrument, or applying to college, never underestimate the treasure trove of experiences that your insights can provide to others. Maybe it's model making, organizing stamps or collecting train set parts, painting Warhammer figurines or sewing ballet costumes. If you have a passion for it and can speak in sentences to explain things, then it shouldn't be difficult for you to write a small book that's useful and interesting to somebody looking to get started in the field. Then you can update the content if necessary and provide bonus features to people later on as a trust building tool. These are all options to explore once the course is off the ground or once the download is available. Number 5, affiliate marketing. This is probably most relevant to viewers who have their own YouTube or Instagram channels which they're reasonably active on, and for those who have at least a smattering of a following of some kind. The idea is that, let's say you review a camera on YouTube and you post the content which contains affiliate links in the description. A portion of the traffic might buy from the link, and then when they purchase the camera, the retailer will reimburse you with a portion of the money for posting that link. For years, I thought that it was only Amazon that did this, but it turns out hundreds, possibly even thousands of brands offer affiliate partnership programs. So how do you take advantage of this? Well, one option is you could go to this address, app.impact.com. Step 1, create an account. Step 2, wait 3 days. Step 3, receive an email from them that says that you're approved to partner with brands. You can then browse through the list of brands and either apply online or email the company about an affiliate partnership. You might offer to review a product or service provided by the brand on your channel. Some YouTubers actually begin their videos by thanking their sponsors and partners for providing a short description of a linked item that might benefit the viewer. While I haven't started to do this yet in my own videos, I rule nothing out if the bailiffs come knocking. Number 6, dividend stocks. The idea here is that you're investing in companies that pay biannually or quarterly dividends regardless of the performance of the underlying company. Look for companies which increase their dividend payout ratios annually. Examples include Intel and Altria, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds. Invest in companies which pay out at different times of the year so that you always have a regular stream of steady money coming in to do with what you choose, whether that's covering your living or business expenses or reinvesting the dividends for compounded gains, which is definitely wise if your goal is to accumulate a certain sum of money for your retirement or after. Number 7, dog breeding. In 2020, the demand for all things pet-related has skyrocketed. Prolonged lockdowns throughout Europe, Canada, and the United States mean that perhaps for the first time in history, buying a kitten is no longer the preserve of obese single women in their mid-40s trying subconsciously to mask the smell of their own flatulence. Now people of all ages are buying pets. It isn't only online retailers such as Chewy who've benefited through increased sales of pet food, beds, collars, toys, treats, worming tablets, and so much more, but individual breeders of pedigree dogs have started charging higher prices per pet due to increased demand. This is at least a couple of £100 in the case of Labradors, for example, but often very much more depending on the breed of dog. One crucial point to note here is that if you are thinking seriously about breeding animals, it's very much not the sort of thing to do on a whim. It requires hours of detailed research and conversations with specialists, breeders, vets, friends, and family members to ensure that all legal and animal welfare safety checks are attended to rigorously before such a venture is undertaken. This extends to buying any equipment required, such as building out the bedding, food, worming tablets, heating, stud fees, hip scoring, blood tests, microchipping, vaccinations, scans, vet visits, consulting with professionals, and more. You'd also have to be prepared to take time off work if you were breeding puppies, for instance, and you'd need to keep good financial records because you would be required to pay taxes on any profits. The same can be said of any of the income sources listed in this video. Number 8, become a landlord. Putting to one side for a second the announcement by the World Economic Forum that by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy about it, owning property can be a wise long-term way of handing down wealth through successive generations. Property letting is a good idea with the caveat that you should not invest in areas where there's a high crime rate, even though mortgage rates are at historic lows. Bank lending standards are tightening in the wake of the COVID recession, which may set a ceiling on the amount that you can borrow at first. But once you have that cash flow coming in, that takes the pressure off you in terms of how much you have to make from your job on a monthly basis. But in the UK, I would be mindful of the government's Section 24 rules, which mean that buy-to-let landlords are no longer allowed to offset the cost of their mortgages against the rental income received from tenants. A lot of landlords have thrown in the towel thanks to this rule, which leaves them with very little profit after taxation. For now, there is a workaround in that you can open a limited company and purchase the house in its name. In this scenario, the mortgage would be classed as a loan that the company must repay, and you would fill out and submit company accounts in the normal way. There would be a tax to pay upon sale of the house or asset, which in the UK depends on your tax band. It's likely to increase on March the 3rd, 2021, when the Chancellor unveils his spring budget. We'll have to all pay more in all likelihood. So those are just some ideas. Thank you very much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below. And if you like this video, it does help the video reach more potential viewers. Feel free as well to make any comments that you might have. If I've missed anything or if I've glossed over something, let me know. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day and Happy New Year.